Hey everybody, it's Professor Malat. I'm here in the week 8 overview pages. There are a couple of resources that I want to go over, hopefully not in too long of a video here because we are preparing for the rhetorical analysis rough draft. If you scroll down to the readings, you will see that I have not only a rhetorical analysis outline guide, which we'll take a look at in a moment, but we also have the rhetorical analysis of an ad. And this is an example from an actual UC student, probably over 10 years now that this essay was written. And you might see some spelling mistakes or some punctuation mistakes, and that's really more of a transcription error. I had to type the document into a Word document because my scan of it was not deemed accessible. That is, it was scanned. So when you do scans, they come up as images rather than a text document that can be read by a screen reader. So in order to make this document accessible for students who might have some kind of vision impairment and need to use a screen reader to access documents, I transcribed it into my Word document. I should go through and correct those errors, but any errors that you see are likely from my transcription and not from the student's original problem or original writing. So I wanted to go through this example first, and I am going to pull up a document where I made some annotations so that you can see how the student here organized logically the various things that they wanted to discuss in this essay. So I'm going to pull up my Adobe Reader here, and hopefully you can see this as well. So you'll see a few places here where I have some highlights and some circles as well as some comments. So the first comment here is it's an interesting title that points to the essay's topic. So I want you to start getting into the habit of giving actual titles to your essays. You probably have seen in previous commentary on your work, if you have used something like essay whatever or rhetorical analysis rough draft, what have you, I may have made a comment saying something like, come up with a creative title, come up with a relevant title, start with an interesting title, something like that. So, and the reason for this is that the title will often act as a hook, right? Your first sentence, of course, is going to act as hook, but the title should also act as a hook to get your reader interested in what you have to say. So the title here is intriguing. Natural beauty in a bottle. Is it possible? It asks a question and it makes the reader say, well, maybe the student is going to answer that question in the body of their essay. So start with a good title, right? Start with an interesting title. I'm not going to say very much about the first sentence here. It's not the strongest hook. It's a little bit generic. So you can read through the introduction itself on your own. But I do want to call up that at the end of this introduction, this is a very textbook example of a thesis statement being the last sentence in the introduction. And this is a fairly strong thesis statement that kind of sets the essay up to be kind of following that 5-paragraph format, right? So in CoverGirl's Nature Luxe Silk Foundation advertisement with Taylor Swift, these 4 elements, meaning ethos, pathos, logos, and kairos, work to sell this product, but also create a contradiction in the idea of naturalness through artificial makeup. So in this thesis statement, they're addressing the various things that they will probably, they're kind of setting a roadmap for us as readers. They're going to address all 4 of those elements. But also, it sounds like they are setting us up to expect to hear some kind of evaluation, right? It creates a contradiction in the idea of naturalness through artificial makeup. So this is something that the student is hoping to argue somewhere along the lines in this essay. So the second paragraph here, and you'll see my note, it's the summary or description paragraph. So last week you wrote your summary of the advertisement. You have taken all of these different elements and have thought about them, and you have summarized your advertisement. And the purpose for doing that assignment was to prepare you to take the next step in writing this rough draft. So you can actually recycle or reuse, maybe even revise your summary paragraph and use that after your introduction. The reason you do that is it provides some context for your reader. So even though I have seen your advertisements and you have likely have had an opportunity through the discussion board to talk about your ad, you cannot assume that your reader, whether it's me or a peer or somebody else, has seen the advertisement, right? So the purpose of the summary and the description is to provide some context. And the way that you can do that is by using some descriptive language. Here you'll see where I had the red marks, where the student has used various types of descriptions. They have provided enough description that you can kind of picture the ad in your mind. So that's really the purpose of the summary and description paragraph. It provides some context for the thing that you are going to be analyzing, and that way your reader understands a little bit better what you're trying to do in your writing. The next paragraph after the summary and description paragraph is a paragraph on ethos, and we can tell that by this very strong topic sentence. Taylor Swift is the ethical appeal of the advertisement, meaning her involvement combined with her credibility is what makes the CoverGirl advertisement work. So we know that the student is setting us up to learn more about how the advertisers use the appeal to ethos, right? They're using a spokesperson of a very well-known celebrity, Taylor Swift. Who doesn't know about Taylor Swift, right? If you don't know about Taylor Swift, you're probably living under a rock. The fact that she in 2024 was, on a notable tour, right? A groundbreaking tour, really, the Eras tour, all over the country, all over the world, and tons of fans coming out to see Taylor Swift perform in the Eras tour. So this is talking about her, her height of notoriety, right? She's really starting to become very, very famous. And so CoverGirl has asked her to become the spokesperson. And then I have a note here about this thing that I highlighted too. While these women are seeing Taylor Swift on this advertisement for a new foundation, the people, they might be saying, why can't I have skin like Taylor Swift's? Or if Taylor Swift uses this product, then I should too. And that's actually a common advertising tactic. When they use a celebrity to endorse a product, or to be a spokesmodel or a spokesperson, the idea is that by using that well-known person, people will hope to quote unquote be like them, right, when they use the product. So that's the hope of the advertisers. So you can read again more about this, more about the appeal to ethos. They don't use a lot of examples from the text itself. They can't really, other than the use of Taylor's face. You don't really need to pull much from the text in order to make the point here. The following we can assume is going to be another discussion about another rhetorical appeal. And here we see it is the appeal to pathos. This is a weaker topic sentence, in my opinion, but it does imply that this discussion relates to the appeal to pathos. And further on down at the end, almost the last sentence, the next to the last sentence, we see that it is confirmed what the topic sentence hints at, right? All of the components work in order to make the audience feel something, which is, of course, the appeal to pathos. And here, again, I've made some marks where the student has used some examples from the text using short quotes, pointing out how they use words and how that conveys a certain feeling to the audience. And then the next paragraph here, we have a very good transitional sentence that bridges the turn from pathos to logos. Besides making a possible customer feel good about the product, this ad also is trying to tell their audience a factual message about their new product. So again, they use examples from the advertisement, so that helps them to provide evidence for their claim there on how the advertisement is using logos, right? Um, and then we have this short paragraph where the student is really trying to make sure all of the various rhetorical appeals are addressed in this essay. Um, and here they have a topic sentence focusing on kairos, or timeliness. And they discuss how the advertisement came out in January 2011, the same time that Taylor Swift had just released and was touring for her new album, Speak Now. This is a much shorter paragraph than all of the other ones. And then we have the conclusion paragraph that follows the discussion of kairos. And you'll see here they use a good phrase in the end instead of in conclusion. They switch it up a little bit and they say in the end. CoverGirl may have been successful selling their product with this Taylor Swift advertisement, but they ultimately could have made viewers confused as to why they chose Taylor Swift to be the spokesperson for the ad. And then they kind of go through and try to make some kind of judgment or evaluation. And then they end with a very strong ending. CoverGirl effectively chose the right person at the right time, right? So they're using credibility and kairos to endorse their new product truly because of her timing of fame and credibility as well. In the end, the product undeniably sold, and with that, the advertisement makers also utilize the rhetorical elements in a very efficient manner. So they're making an evaluation whether or not the advertisement was effective. So hopefully that little walkthrough helps you understand a little bit better. I do also want to talk a little bit about this rhetorical analysis outline guide, which I'm going to pull up here in the viewer and make a full page. So this is an outline of things that you want to remember. It's just a suggested outline. You don't have to stick to it, but this is typically how you could best organize the essay, kind of following something similar to what you read in the student example. Keep in mind that not every advertisement is going to use all of the various rhetorical appeals. Sometimes you might see one primary appeal, sometimes it be one or two. So you might have to talk about different things besides the rhetorical appeals. What other ways does the advertiser try to persuade the audience, right? It might be the use of language, it might be the use of music, it might be the use of images, right? So all of those things can come together, especially in multimodal advertising, right? Where we have commercials and we're relying on things like, the action of the film. We're talking about the sound, the music, any kind of voiceover or narration, any kind of dialogue that might be going on in the advertisement, and that kind of thing. So I don't want you to try to force it into a format where you're talking about all of the rhetorical appeals and you might be pulling at strings to try to force it into a certain format. If logos isn't there, don't try to make an argument for logos when you can't support that argument with evidence from the text. So hopefully that makes sense. You can make sure that you take a look at this document, at the rhetorical analysis outline guide, and let's just quickly take a look at the other resources that are available this week. We also have the formatting guidelines if you need to be reminded about how to format your paper with MLA formatting style. You can take a look at the Purdue OWL. I also have my tips and tricks for formatting in Microsoft Word as well as Google Docs. These are very short videos on YouTube. There is also the study hall rhetoric and composition elements of rhetorical analysis. So let's take a look at the assignment itself. The rough draft is due this Sunday, March 9th, with the peer review quickly being due on Wednesday, March 12th. We will follow the same drill that we did the last time through when we did peer review for your personal narrative. So if you are late with your draft, there is a good chance that you won't get assigned a peer review unless you bring my attention to your late draft, right? I take a look at drafts sometime during the day on Monday. Usually we'll have feedback on Tuesday. I like to get feedback to you before the peer reviews, but sometimes, you know, if I'm in a busy part of my week, I may have difficulty getting to those things. So you are not the only class that I teach. I also teach on campus twice, 2 classes on campus, and I'm involved in a bunch of different committees on campus as well. So the purpose of this assignment is to help to develop your analytical and critical thinking skills by examining how ads use rhetorical strategies to persuade their audience. So this is going to help you to understand rhetorical appeals, ethos, pathos, logos, as well as the rhetorical situation, audience, purpose, and context. These kinds of skills are essential for success in college level writing and beyond because they enable you to critically evaluate and create persuasive arguments. So we have the breakdown of the skills and the knowledge, and then of course the tasks. So you have chosen your advertisement. You need to analyze the advertisement. Think about who the target audience is, what the purpose of the advertisement is, what context surrounds the advertisement. This is especially the case if you have chosen a recent Super Bowl ad. That's something that you should note in your analysis. How does the advertisement use ethos, pathos, and logos? And what visual and textual elements contribute to the advertisement's persuasive power? So again, this is where if you only see one primary appeal, like likely the appeal to pathos, you're going to have to draw more on those visual or multimodal elements that contribute to the advertisement's persuasive power. You'll have to analyze different things besides just the rhetorical appeals. The essay is 3 to 4 pages, 800 to 1,000 words, double spaced. That presents your analysis. It should include your introduction, the summary or description of the text, body paragraphs that include rhetorical strategies as well as the rhetorical situation, and of course a conclusion. Format your essay to MLA STOT format and style guidelines, proper heading, title, in-text citations. We won't worry too much about in-text citations, and of course the formatting. You will be evaluated on the various criteria here, the depth of your analysis, the use of evidence, so make sure that you support it with specific examples from your advertisement, clarity and organization, as always. I'm a big one for logical flow, adherence to MLA format, and then grammar and mechanics. There are some words here underneath about your submission details, again with some reminders of how an MLA formatted paper looks like, what the guidelines are, as well as a reminder of if you're working in Google Docs, how to download and save your document as a Word doc or a PDF. As a rule, I do not accept shared documents from your Google account. Certainly not if they are submitted to Canvas. It's one thing if you grant me access to your document via email, but it's really in your best interest to learn how to download and save your document as a Word doc or a PDF. That way it can be uploaded into the system. So again, keep in mind it's tied to a peer review. In order to participate in peer review, you have to submit a draft. The draft does not have to be the full 800 to 1,000 words. If you only get halfway, if you only get to 1.5 to 2 pages, that is perfectly acceptable. It's a draft, right? You're not being graded on it. It's graded as complete and incomplete. So if you do it, even if it's only halfway done, you still get full credit for doing the draft. So it's really in your best interest to work hard to submit at least something. That way, that gives me something in which I can provide feedback as well as something for your peer review to read and provide feedback on. And when we do the peer review, keep in mind that not everybody is going to have a complete document, and that is okay. Provide some suggestions on how they can make it longer, right? Remind them of the things that they need to do in the assignment. Students who fail to submit their drafts in a timely manner won't be able to participate in or receive credit for peer review. So, again, I cannot stress it enough. Please get the drafts in on time. If you are a day late, just please let me know so I can go in and check the system and make sure that you are assigned a peer's draft to review. Typically, I have the system automatically assign drafts. So if you're late, you miss out on that. So it's just good to be in communication with me. Okay. If you have any questions, you know how to get in touch with me. And of course, if you need additional help, we have the Writing Center tutors who are happy to help you. They can do email as well as virtual synchronous calls, right? Consultations. Um, they are open to working with a variety of modalities. So please don't feel like you're limited just because you live in another state and you're a distance learning student. Um, there are definitely ways to work with the Writing Center tutors. Okay, take care, everybody, and have a fantastic week. Bye bye.